Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Dogecoin. If you're new to my session, here are the 3 key takeaways you can expect from the session. So let's begin with the weekly chart of Dogecoin. As of this moment, Dogecoin seems to be stabilizing around this support level of 17 cents. Okay, so that's basically, I would say, it seems like it has completed another test. So while we are still keeping that particular tag, this is pretty much confirmed that it is at least a test to this level of around 17 cents, which is extended from the previous automatic reaction and also this little LPSY over here. Let me borrow this tag. So that was a mini distribution back in March 2024. So what we're having here is that if this is really the case, there are potentially other accumulation stages that can happen. I'll first talk about the lower end, and then I'll cover the higher end. The lower end is more subsequent test, meaning it's going to bounce somewhere between the red key level and this particular level that it's finding support right now at around 17 cents. And then, just to see how strong the demand of people or the general market is for Dogecoin. That's, the scenario that stays towards the lower end of accumulation. The other scenario is that it's waiting to pump up to at least this sign of strength level of 30 cents. That's where the previous sign of strength back in July and September were. Okay, so when we get to the daily chart, we'll see something pretty interesting. But as of now, expect that 50% chance staying low, but on this side, let's put actually. It looks to me, when I was thinking, like what we see in the daily chart, this is more like a 45-55. So slightly higher chance to get to the higher end. And just to mention, the 45% here may not be the lowest point. The test can develop into something we call a spring, meaning something lower than the selling climax. So the selling climax we have was at around 15 cents. So a spring can go lower, much like what happened back in 2022. So be cautious that even though we hope for the upside to show up, there's still a risk for it to go a little bit deeper. So let's get to the daily chart. Previously, I was asking some questions. Was that period between mid-October to end October a preliminary support period, and that the selling climax happened just last week? Or is it something else? When the pump of Uniswap happened just a day or two ago, Uniswap has a similar chart pattern. And that looks to me, if it really is that case, the preliminary support was actually sitting somewhere there. This is not an LPSY. The selling climax actually happened between October 10th and 11th. And we had the automatic rally immediately after on the 12th and 13th. Let me take out this percentage. And subsequently there was more tests, and then we headed towards the spring, or we reached the spring just last week. Okay, from Tuesday all the way to Thursday. That's the spring I mentioned just 2 minutes ago. And that's where potentially the rise towards the red key level of 25 cents and eventually 30 cents, the orange key level. If that really is the case. And also one more sign over here. Last time we talked about the price will break out of this downward channel. There's a chance for it to break outside. And 2 days ago on Sunday, it happened. So remember this date, if you go back to the last session, I mentioned sometime before November 11th, today, meaning it's going to show us a decision. Is this downtrend going to continue, meaning the price to bounce off from that ceiling and come back to within the box? Or is it going to break outside of this channel, this blue box, and show us another trend? May it be sideways or uptrend. Alright, and indeed it's showing us that this downtrend seems to be over. Okay, so that's another positive sign that Dogecoin may have seen its lowest point. Okay, it's pretty encouraging, I can say. And looking at the volume, the selling volume today, even though the candlestick is larger, the volume is way lower than what we have yesterday. And that's another positive sign. So if it is really starting off an uptrend, this is the current premature uptrend support line. Just by looking at the candlestick on Friday and the candlestick today. If the retracement ends here, at where the ceiling of the blue line is, you see yesterday and today both are kind of finding support above this line. If these two forms the new support trend line towards the upside, as long as the subsequent days continue to trade above that particular new yellow line, it's going to head towards the end of this month, and that's the other big decision point. Is it going to break above the 25 cents, or is it going to continue to trade, come back down and trade between the white line and the red line? Alright, so it's a bit positive right now, looking at the move, that it eventually breaks outside of the downtrend that we discussed last week. So hopefully the positive momentum continues, and then we will eventually see the price to challenge the 25 cents first, and then eventually the orange key level of 30 cents. That's a lot of lines, though. I might as well just not this far, because when the price climb, it may find rejection along this line. It's pretty interesting when you think about it. These things happen. So let's hope for the best, and